So as you might notice, the audio quality is a tiny little bit, maybe even a really fucking big, whatever, worse than normally. And I'm really sorry for that. I just did something in the other episode that I record today, which means that also kind of like a quarter of the other episode is a little tiny bit fucked, but it's a little bit of a bad thing, that this episode now is like completely not that good. But it is what it is, it is really what it is. I do hope that you're not gonna find it too bad, that you're okay with that. I really am sorry, really, really, really. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. It's a pretty cool one, and I'm gonna record the other one today as well. So the next one is probably gonna be good quality. But yeah, have a nice day. Gonna see you in the video. Well. Another book, another day, well, it's actually not really another book, another day, but we're going to talk about another book or another book, quote unquote, a summary, because it's actually only, quote unquote, nudes. It's not nudes, but it is notes. Well, more after the intro as always. Sometimes, there's just some mistakes from time to time. Well, yeah, but it's actually going to be a pretty cool one. And please, because I've actually somehow deleted my file here, so normally there is something on this site. Well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of things in the description, so please check out all the links. First of all, to my social media sites. Second of all, to a free summary of everything that I'm going to talk about today, probably. Unless I do just kind of decide to do everything. Well, no, I'm going to do it in this way. Yes. There's going to be one for this episode with all the articles that I'm going to show you then and all the highlights that I'm having for you. And there's going to be some background music. If you want to have some music, please check out the link. And also the podcast. If you're on a YouTube channel, then there's also a podcast. But if you're on a podcast, there's also a YouTube channel. So if you want to see me while I'm talking and going through the articles, then please check out the YouTube video. But if you do just want to save a little bit more time and do everything simultaneously, whatever you have to do, then please check out the podcast. So yeah, let's actually go through it. There you can see it's The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. Actually, Drucker, but since he's Austrian, Peter Drucker. Well, yeah. The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker from the netallison.com site. The link is always going to be down in the description, always, and as well going to be down there. You can find it, and you can also go through the whole summary on your own. As you can see, this is what we are going to go through today. This is what we're going to talk about today. And then I've also just having Knowledge Worker, and we're having Peter Drucker himself, and then we're having also, no, not him, but also the Lean Startup, because this is quite also something that he's talking about. But well, let's start with the summary. Brilliant men are often strikingly ineffectual. They fail to realize that the brilliant insight is not by itself achievement. They never have learned that insights become effectiveness only through hard systematic work. They never have learned that insights, which is information, becomes effectiveness only through work. And this is actually a common theme in this book, as I have seen. You can know a lot, but if you don't act on what you know, then it is basically lost potential, first of all. And second of all, there's not going to be any outcomes because you're not doing anything about it. And if you're not doing anything about what you know or anything based on what you know, then there's not going to be anything like a result. There's not going to be some things that you're going to have. There's not going to be results in the end, because you're not doing anything. And this is, as I said, a common theme in this book, that we just have to do more. Intelligence, imagination, and knowledge are essential resources, but only effectiveness converts them into results. By themselves, they only set limits to what can be attained. Working on the right thing is what makes knowledge work effective. And knowledge work was a quite... I didn't really know what he was referring to as knowledge work, but I knew that it is about knowing things, and it is about information, and it is also essentially about things that you're doing with your brain. It's not going to be physical work, but it is going to be thinking, it's going to be creatively thinking, it's going to be just doing things with your brain, and we're using your brain primarily for the work that you're doing. But yes, indeed, working on the right things, is what makes knowledge work effective. Because if you're using a lot of your brain energy, basically, if you're using a lot of your brain energy for the wrong things, for the things that do not really matter, then it's also lost potential, and then you've also just lost a lot of energy, and you've also just misinvested a lot of energy in the real end. Quite. The greatest wisdom not applied to action and behavior is meaningless data. Knowledge work is defined by its results. So, as you can see, he's definitely all about making things happen and showing results and having results and doing things that create himself results, and not doing things that are, well, not going to lead to anything. And or at least creating such an equation that there's also going to be results, that there's also going to be things, that it's not only going to be like learning and trying to figure things out, but also acting on whatever you've learned and what you've figured out. So knowledge worker per se, or knowledge work is, well, actually knowledge workers are workers whose main capital is knowledge. Examples include programmers, physicians, pharmacists, architects, engineers, scientists, design thinkers, public accountants, lawyers, and academics, and any other white-collar workers whose line of work requires one to think for a living. Quite. Yes. And there's actually another definition. As I see right now, an architect is an example of a typical knowledge worker, because he's not building anything, He's not the one that builds things, but he's the one who plans everything, and he's the one that is then to be blamed if everything is fucked up. Quite. Like literally in the end, like he's really fucked up. And I do think, and this is also something that I thought about, like as an architect, it must be just such a huge thing. First of all, knowing, okay, I designed this shit that's standing outside there. In the end, well, as far as I know, like you are an architect, but does it also mean that you're having something to do with making sure that the building itself is also able to exist, in terms of like, if I'm gonna build it in this way, can I also build it then? And or if I'm just designing it in this way, can I also then build it in this way? Because as far as I know, but I just unfortunately don't know the English word, there is some people that are just only doing like just figuring out and seeing whether a building that was designed, if you're able to build it, basically. I really don't unfortunately know how they are called. Statiker, as they are called in German. Well, I could actually translate it. Let's translate it! Let's use the internet, one of the best things that ever happened. On one hand, probably also one of the worst things that ever happened. Well, yeah, but no, like there's a lot of things that we have been able to gain through the internet or because of the internet. Well, thank you, motherfucker. It's not English, it's German. Structural engineer. Here it is. Structural engineers inspect the soundness of the bridge. It's called soundness. The more I know. Structural designer, stress analyst, structural engineers. As far as I know, they are just making sure that, like, I think if you're an architect, I don't really know what the fuck you're doing. But I assume, and I guess, like, it is only an assumption, I don't know, that you're not gonna make sure on your own that the building is gonna be able to be built. I think that there's gonna be some structural engineers in your team. As it is with every designer, like, designers per se don't really design everything. I mean, if you just think about Stefan Sagmeister, who is working in New York and has been working in New York for several years right now, like, he's having a team. And I don't know if he's doing just a lot of practical work. He for sure thinks things through. But I don't know if he's doing the work then. I don't know if he's doing the practical work, or if this is something that the other people in his company then do, the other quote-unquote workers. I mean, of course, they all are gonna think, but I certainly don't know if he's just doing so much in terms of like the practical work. But yeah, let's actually also talk about Peter Drucker, or Peter Drucker, as you can also see here, like Peter Ferdinand Drucker, which is his German name, I would say, as you can see, German, and then the phonetic alphabet, Drucker. Drucker. Even though this alpha just turned upside down, just doesn't actually make any fucking sense. And then we have in the English one, which is Drucker. Dr. Apparently this is a dr. Drucker. Drucker. And we're having Drucker. Well, yeah, he was born in November 19th, 1909, and died in November the 11th, 2005, just before his 56th birthday. Well, what a pity. Was an Austrian-born American management consultant, educator and author whose writings contributed to the philosophical and practical foundations of the modern business corporation. He was also a leader in the development of management education. He invented the concept known as management by objectives and self-control, and he has been described as the founder of modern management. He's one of the best known and most widely influential thinkers and writers on the subject of management theory and practice. And like it's a relatively long article that he's having, and there's actually also some other things. Drucker says that corporations tend to produce too many products, hire employees they don't need, when a better solution would be outsourcing, and expand into economic sectors that they should avoid. And what struck me is outsourcing. He certainly coined, well, not really coined, but he used outsourcing, and he quote-unquote invented outsourcing, as far as they also just talk about here and the key ideas of him. Like, just, this is something that has to be said, like, Wikipedia is doing such a great job at analyzing things, structuring them really well, linking everything really well, and this is something that bothers me quite well, or quite a lot about. Teachers being like, well, just please don't only use your fucking Wikipedia. Like, they're not going to say this, obviously, but they're going to be like, well, please don't only use Wikipedia, also use other sources. The question that I'm now having is, why the fuck should I? If I'm having one good source, if I'm having one amazing source, why would I then use just something else? Reply to a parliamentary question. And it apparently is in German, as far as they say. Anfrage Beantwortung. Bundeskanzler. Well, it's actually for the, is it Prime Minister? Federal Chancellor. Or in Swiss, it would be the Chancellor of the Confederation. The more we know. Sehr geehrte Frau Präsidentin. Dear Mrs. Counselor. Die Abgeordneten zum Nationalrat Dr. Graf. Kolleginnen und Kollegen haben am 23. Februar, bla 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 bla. Yeah. Some letter. Not that interesting. A lot of data here, which is interesting. Like, this is everything that you can find because of Wikipedia. Like, a lot of just actually kind of weird stuff that you're having some PDFs there. But well, yeah. Anyway, really interesting personality, and just to no, I'm sorry, to also think and talk about his data quite, let's put it like this. He was born Peter Ferdinand Drucker in November 19th, 1909 in Karlsgraben, Vienna, Austria-Hungary. There's a lot of people that have been born in Austria-Hungary, which is like, I do wonder, and I do certainly know that Karlsgraben, well, it's actually in Vienna. So it is actually Austria. At this point in time, it's also Austria. Because, for example, quite a ton of people. Franz Kafka was born in, it's been Prague, or Prague, however it is pronounced in English, I don't certainly know. But there's like Viktor Frankl, for example, he also think was born in in Austria, but it's also been Austria and Hungary. So it's always like, at this point in time, it wouldn't be Austria, quite, you know. But I think it's actually pretty interesting. Like in 1909, there has been Austria-Hungary, which has been a really, really, really fucking big thing. At this point in time, we are not really that big. But he died on November the 11th, 2005 in Claremont, California. I think it's pronounced Claremont. Claremont? I think it's Claremont. I'm not sure, but shoutouts to all the people from California that are listening to the podcast. I appreciate that. I really, really, really do. Thank you. Thank you a lot. And also from New Hampshire. And apparently also some from New York, Virginia. Thanks, Virginia. A lot. I appreciate that. Thank you. He graduated with a PhD from the Goethe University in Frankfurt, occupation management consultant, educator, and author, and was awarded with the Henri or Henry Lawrence Gantt Medal or Henri Lawrence, whatever, Gantt, and the Austrian Cross of Honor for Science and Art, the first class 1991 Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2002. Like, he is a pretty accomplished person, I would say. But let's go ahead with the notes, or the summary per se. If the executive lets the flow of events determine what he does, what he works on, and what he takes seriously, he will wither himself away. Operating. He may be an excellent man, but he is certain to waste his knowledge and ability, and to throw away what little effectiveness he might have achieved. What the executive needs are criteria which enable him to work on the truly important. An organization, as social artifact, is very different from a biological organism, yet it stands under the law that governs the structure and size of animals and plants. The surface goes up with the square of the radius, but the mass grows with the cube. The larger the animal becomes, the more resources have to be devoted to the mass and to the internal tasks, to circulation and information to the nervous system, and so on. Every part of an amoeba is in constant direct contact. And yet, the bigger and apparently more successful an organization gets to be, the more will inside events tend to engage the interests, the energies, and the abilities of the executive to the exclusion of his real tasks and his real effectiveness in the outside. What seems to be wanted is universal genius, and universal genius has always been in scarce supply. The experience of the human race indicates strongly that the only person in abundant supply is the universal incompetent. We will therefore have to staff our organizations with people who at best excel in one of these abilities, and then they are more than likely to lack any but the most modest endowment in the others. Which somehow, like, this is what I've gone through so far in terms of the summary there, but it led me to think about the lean startup, and it also led me to think about Tim Ferriss, because Tim Ferriss, well, actually, no, it's not been really recent. I think it's been in 2017 as far as I can remember, but in 2017 he has given to us the thought of taking. I'm just really putting this in a really fucking strange sentence. I'm sorry for that, actually. That he said that you should, if you're just willing to start a business and if you're willing to start a podcast as well, you should definitely think about the Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. And therefore I also know how to pronounce Drucker, because it's actually pronounced Drucker right now, this point in time, even though his original name was Drucker. But it doesn't matter. It's the same thing with Walch, and in German it's actually pronounced Walch, with an ch, which is nothing that you have in English, apparently. But this is why I then thought about, like, well, I'm actually going to go through it because Tim said it's an amazing book, but it also just reminded me of the Lean Startup, which is, first of all, it is a movement as far as I know. I'm actually going to zoom out a little tiny bit. It apparently is a movement, but it is also about, it is a book, as you can see, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. How today's entrepreneurs use continuous innovation to create radical successful businesses. From Eric Ries, about the author. Eric Ries is an entrepreneur and author of the New York Times bestseller The Lean Startup, How Today's Entrepreneurs, blah blah blah, blah, published by Crown Business, which is actually also the publisher of Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Workweek, as far as I remember. But yeah, so the whole concept of a lean startup is that that you're not going to have a lot of employees, that you're going to have like just a minimal amount of employees and just a minimal amount of people. Often there is going to be like one person startup, which is just also something that works, because why not? Why certainly not? But it also turned out to be like about principles, and there's a book and there's a case studies. Let's have a look at and I've also noticed that this site isn't quite working, unfortunately. But yeah, maybe you check it out. Tim also said, I think that, no, did he? No, he didn't. But I know that it is a good book because a lot of people said that it is a good book. But yeah, I think this is going to be the end of the episode here. So I wish you certainly the best health of a business and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself when you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person. On the other hand, 3 other questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. But yeah, gonna see you the next time, I at least hope. And thank you very much. Really thank you a lot for watching, listening, reading as well. Even though you're not gonna hear that or you're not gonna read that if I'm saying that. Oh well, yeah. I'll see you the next time, I at least hope. But since the software isn't working once again, I'm gonna just, do nothing. I'm gonna talk about some nonsensical bullshit until we're able to do that. Lean startup case studies. Oh my fucking Dropbox. Dropbox revolutionized file sharing by making an extremely easy to use, seamless application. Wealthfront is democratizing access to outstanding investment managers. Then we're having GrowKit, or GrowKit, was founded in 2007 to enable social learning, especially for test preparation, SAT, LSAT, and so on. IMVU, founded in 2004, is the world's largest 3D chat and dress-up community. Votism is disrupting how our government and politics work by putting focus back on individual voter. And Aardvark is a company subsequently acquired by Google, developed a social search engine. I do, by the way, wonder who the who the founder of the Dropbox are. Dropbox, Wikipedia please. Wikipedia please, the service. File sharing, file hosting service operated by the American company Dropbox Inc., headquartered in San Francisco, California, that offers cloud storage. Probably, yes, cloud storage. I lost my line, but I think it's cloud. Oh, no. Cloud storage, file synchronization, and personal cloud, and client software. It was founded in 2007 by MIT students Drew Houston and Arish Fedoso as a startup company with initial funding from seed accelerator Y Combinator, which is actually like really often Y Combinator worked with startups, as far as I've seen. Dropbox has been praised, receiving the Crunchy Award in 2010 for Best Internet Application and Macworld's 2009 Editor's Choice Award for Software. Well, yeah. Let's actually have a look at Drew Houston. 2.2 billion. That's quite nice. Houston held 24.4% voting power in Dropbox before filing for IPO in February 2018. He attended Acton Boxborough Regional High School and then he went to MIT. Met Arash Fedorus. Arash is Persian. Iranian-American billionaire entrepreneur. He is the co-founder of Dropbox. 1.1 billion. It's 1 billion less than the other person. But well, yeah. Now I can end the episode and I'm gonna see you the next time. So, thank you.